Trade has been very strong. We're getting a lot of soybeans for our farmers. He committed to 200 Boeings, big ones, 777s and 737s, and a lot of big ones, big, beautiful Boeing planes, 200, that's a lot, with a commitment that if they do a good job, and I told this to Boeing and General Electric, we're going to go to the General Electric engines, which are great. If they do a good job, we could go up to 750.
Well, as you heard just there from President Trump, new trade promises are emerging from a pivotal summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Here's what that looks like, at least so far. China agreeing to buy 200 Boeing jets. Beijing's also expected to commit $10 billion for American agriculture products, with a new board of trade to help oversee tariffs.
Yeah, we're going to bring in U.S. Ambassador to China, David Perdue. Ambassador, thanks for joining us this morning. Listen, you had a front row seat to a lot that happened. A lot of these trade deals that we've heard about, potentially getting closer to being inked and finalized and starting to see that money coming in. There's two things I want to ask you about, though, because I don't understand personally. So I'd love for you to help put some color here. This idea that President Trump supports bringing 500,000 Chinese students into our country, and then kind of defending China buying farmland in our country. Are those necessary aspects of these bigger trade deals? Is that messaging? Does President Trump truly believe those are good things for our country? I'd love for you to help us understand that.
Well, good morning, guys. First of all, this trip was certainly an historic trip. It was the first presidential trip to China in 9 years since President Trump came first in 2017. It was historic. Their conversations over 2 days were candid, cordial, and consequential. With regard to the specifics of what you talk about, President Trump right now is in an engagement period with the people of China. But he's trying to fight for a level playing field, and that's what this visit was all about. You had some trade deals that you mentioned on the top, and there'll be more to be discussed in the next few days. But what he's doing right now is consistent. The things you talk about are not tied to these trade deals. They're things that he's trying to do to maintain a strong and vigorous relationship while protecting the American people after the last 25 years.
Ambassador Lisa Booth here. So we also had a lot of top CEOs that traveled with President Trump to China. We look at intellectual property theft from China costs the economy tens of billions to hundreds of billions of dollars each year, depending on the study you look at. We also look at during COVID, China unleashing it on the country and the world and then lying about it, and then also threatening to withhold pharmaceutical exports to our country as well. Do we want to be more intertwined with China and their economy?
Well, the first thing you have to realize is it's going to be very difficult to run independent of China. They're the second largest economy in the world, 1.4 billion people. But what President Trump is doing is trying to correct the malaise in the United States over the last 25 years, where we saw some of our strategic industries hollowed out by the Chinese. And it was an unlevel playing field that allowed that to happen. And that's why he's fighting right now to correct that. Rare earth elements, magnets, commercial shipbuilding, pharmaceuticals, as you said. We're in a potential time of vulnerability, and the Chinese have showed the world, frankly, that they're willing to weaponize that, and that's why President Trump went to China. A lot of people said, well, do we really want to have a better relationship with China? I say, oh, hell yeah, you have to. And right now, but you have to stand up for what's important to the people of America, and that's what this president has been doing since his first administration, and this trip was a continuation of that. Again, these conversations were tough. President Trump is making his positions known to the people of China.
Let me ask you, this is Kevin Corke. Always great to have you on the program. I think it's fair to say a lot of people felt like this was a successful trip for the president, a successful trip for the United States of America, in particular when you note the Boeing deal, and yet there are a number of questions with respect to what happens moving forward. I don't mind saying this. The Chinese are famous for saying, yes, we will buy, say, soybeans, and then not following through. Are there more restrictions here that we can impose that will enable us to actually make them follow through on the agreements that they actually make?
Kevin, that's a great point. If you look back at the 2019 deal that I was a part of, actually, they didn't execute but about 2/3 of that deal then.
That's right.
What we have right now is the Board of Trade. Scott Bessent and Jameson Greer have negotiated hard over the last year, And they've reached some understandings with them about going forward. And believe me, we've got 301 investigations underway right now. There's a lot more teeth in these investigations now than there ever have been. And the people that are negotiating with the Chinese are doing it from a position of strength in that regard.
Just real quick, I have to follow up on this. I asked you about the 500,000 students and buying American farmland, and your answer ended with making America safer. I would love for you to explain how buying farmland near military bases and bringing in students to educational institutions that are pushing left already, and we're already seeing the influence that the Chinese government has in some of these liberal institutions. Explain how those two things make America safer.
Well, you have to take a much more comprehensive look at it than just those two issues, Joy. I think what you have to do is understand that the dangers are not coming from every Chinese student. They're coming from a minority. And the rule changes that have been put in our immigration system and our consular visa system from President Trump make us much more safer than we ever were before. We're denying more visas now than we ever have in terms of students. But the problem is when they go to graduate school and so forth, and they get access to our labs, our commercial labs, our educational labs, and so forth.
Yeah.
We've already outlawed owning land near these military bases, and that continues to be a strong effort by our Homeland Security folks and the people in the White House. So we're on the mission right now to make America safer, stronger, and more prosperous. And the way you have to do that is every single day.
I appreciate that very much. Thanks for those answers. That does clarify quite a bit.
Thank you for the thoughtful answers, Ambassador. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, sir.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.